I know today there are many experts around, so I would think I would just start up, give to warm up everyone, and when you want to talk, you just raise your hand and just talk. All right. So we don't go for those formalities or must wait for Q&A and that kind of stuff lah. So we make it more casual in a way. Is that all right, everyone? Very good. Thank you. Yes. These are the references and image sources that I gathered. All right. Of particular interest is about this book, Kindred Waters: Stories of the Jinjiang Guli Community in Singapore. Right. In 2019, I have the privilege from Jinjiang Huiguan, 彭丽儿，丽儿跑掉了，丽儿 ，okay, she was standing, she's sitting behind. So I have the privilege that Li Er asked me, hey, are you interested in writing those wooden boats? Are you interested in interviewing those wooden boats makers and coolie, right? So that I can also help to contribute to this book, 江河情缘. So that was 2019, just before the COVID came, and we just before the COVID, and we launched the book in Chinese. Then in the later years, we do a revision and launch the second edition. And come to 6 months ago, we actually translated the book and published the book over here, this book. And if you are interested, I think there were just a few more copies left behind. All right. So if you're interested, you can obtain it from Peng Li Er. Okay. All right. Yes. We talk about this $5 notes. Sorry, I have to walk in. Okay. From $1 notes to $10 notes. This is the shipbuilding, the ship series currency between 1987 to 1999, before the 21st century. So for that $1 to $10 notes, they were wooden boats. All right. In fact, wooden boats carry the entire maritime history since many centuries ago. All right. And okay, from $50 to $10,000, they were metal ships, right? Only from steels. Over here, I think we do not see tankers. We do not see VLCC, right? Apparently, this super large carriers were not common during that time, right? But it also, these dollars notes really reflects the history of our Singapore maritime as well, because all these boats were actually appeared in Singapore before, from the China Sachuan many years ago, since Han Dynasty, to Tongkang, to Twakow, to Gallery, the Bugis boat. All right. Okay. But just a side note, would you wonder why $1 note is blue and $5 note is green? Have you ever thought of that? Never. And one of our audience here, Mr. Shen, actually thought of that, and he actually and taught me why is that so. It's something linked to before World War and after World War II. All right, Mr. Shen, would you like to share a little? Come.
Okay, the Board of Currencies under the British, the Board of Commissioners of Currencies was formed in October 1938, and the board was official authority responsible for the issuing of $1 million from 1938 to 1952. In 1940, the board issued the first series of $1 million notes to replace the straight dollar. The two consignment of printed notes from UK to Penang was sent on the cargo ship that were attacked by the German rider Antarctic. The record shows SS Nomery was carrying 500,000 of $1 notes and 100,000 of $5 notes, and another vessel called Automatum was carrying 700,000 of $1 notes and 500,000 $5 notes. Both cargo ships was attacked and sunk, and all cargo lost. When the British knew about the incident, the British authority hoped the release of $1 and $5 notes that were printed in 1930. You can see to the right side, 1930, the green color is $1, and then the $5 is on the side. So to avoid confusion, in 1941, new banknotes was printed with a color swap with $1 and $5, $1 in blue and $5 in green. Although the date of the notes was issued on 1st July 1941, but the notes were not released until 1945, just because of the Japanese occupation. The above incidents explain the green became the color of $5 notes, and the practice remains until today by the Malaysian and Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shen. From currency, we actually know about Strait settlement, right? From Strait settlement to Malaya, and to Malaysia, and eventually to Singapore. So it reflects a part of the history of Singapore. Sorry, come. So this is side note, all right? Okay, I grew up by the river. I live in a place called Shui Xian Men. I don't know you're aware of Shui Xian Men. Shui Xian Men is at the junction of Hill Street and the Singapore River Bank. The most famous bak chor mee, Dahua bak chor mee, started from there. All right, okay, that is Shui Xian Men. All right, so I lived there, and I actually did not know that I was actually witnessing the end era of all these wooden boats. I actually witnessing the change of maritime landscape. I did not know that at that time. But as a child, as a young guy, teenager, I was actually fascinated by this. This is riverbank. You can see all the Twakow around, all right? This Twakow around, and very beautiful, elegant. And what happened is, this was a all right? 中元节, all right? So people were actually celebrating 中元. And so we can see that there were so many people around, so many hawkers around at the riverbank, all right? So that was quite fascinating. And I always stand on the Common Bridge. My house is next to Common Bridge. So I stand at Common Bridge and actually look at those Twakow. So many Twakow moving around. And I was actually amazed how all these people, all these coolies can carry more than, today we call it more than 100 kaki, all right? More than 100 kaki, 60 kg and more and above, right? They just carry those, walking on a plank, linking the Twakow and the river bank. And the plank was actually flipping, moving up and down, right? So I was just amazed how this superhuman did that, you know? Yeah. And at night, I saw people living on the boat. On the Twakow behind there's this awning. So they actually live under the awning. So they cook there, they eat there, they smoke, all right, over there, and they shit there. Okay. So I was quite wonder why they did not go home, but they actually live on the boat. But later I know that, because their cooling was quite dirty, quite smelly. So the boat was much better, all right. Then somewhere at 19-year-old, I moved up from Singapore River and moved to near Rochor River. Near Rochor River, and during, that time I was studying in Polytechnic. So during school holiday, I will walk across Kallang River and to the Kallang Lorong 3, those freighter factory, and work in the freighter factory to earn my tuition fee, all right? So every time just walk around, the time you can see behind there, the National Stadium already built, all right? The old stadium already built, but all those Twakow were still around on the plank on the Kallang River as well, yeah. Then during my childhood day, my parents, my father, like to bring me to Clifford Pier. So here is Clifford Pier, right? So we can look at Telok Basin. So all those were the Twakow, Sampan, and all birth at the Kallang Basin. So in a way, I don't know whether all this sunk in me, because eventually I studied mechanical engineering actually in Poly and later on in university. I studied mechanical engineering. So after I joined Ministry of Defense, I said, let's work on ship. And Ministry of Defense gave me a scholarship, very scholarship, all right, to study naval architecture. Okay, so that's how I converted myself back to those ships business. Yeah. Okay. Twakow is a Hokkien word. Twakow. Yeah. Like David said, Chinese called Taku, right? But in Teochew, it's not Twakow anymore. Teochew, they taught me is Twakow. Any Teochew around here? Is it Twakow? Yeah. So when I talk to Teochew, I say Twakow, they stare at me. No, it's Twakow. But then when I talk to Cantonese, Twakow, they say, no, it's not Twakow. It's Tai Kai. Big eye roaster. Tai Kai. All right. So every one of us carry different name. But for Twakow is actually green. The bow is green. That is Twakow. Twakow, the bow is red. Teochew, the bow is red. So it's different. It's really different. All right. So this Twakow actually plying around the coastal and the river, and it's ready for the river transport. So this is the childhood. During my childhood day, that's how the river bank looked like. You may wonder what's this, right? And what's this? Yeah. Yeah, this is OCBC. All right. And this one is UOB. This is UOB. Okay. Yeah, that's how I witnessed last time. I saw how this building was dismantled and erected again. Yeah. Okay. So, but loosely, many people treated Twakow and Tongkang the same. All right. But what I would like to inform everyone is they are not the same. But in my primary school textbooks, my teacher used to talk to us. Oh, can you see those Singapore River, those Tongkang, right? So Tongkang is a very loose term, but they are not the same. Tongkang itself is plying on international water. They move cargo from one foreign port to another foreign port and brought goods, rice, and timber back to Singapore. That is Twakow. That is Tongkang. All right. The bow, technically, the bow is a bit rounded, and it's much larger than Twakow. All right. So for Twakow, it's actually dominated the lighter business in the 20th century. They are moving around the port limit. All right. So they actually distributed cargo within Singapore. You may be interested for some of you in this ship business. Twakow size is 70 meter, length 8.5 meter, breadth the post. All right. And the depth is about 2.4 meter. That's Twakow. It's so small, okay, but it carried about 100 tons of cargo. So it is although small, but it's not so small, and it's actually flat bottom. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, so this is Tongkang. Tongkang did not have its own engine power. They are using sail or using tugboat to tow. So they are using sail to travel to Thailand, to Vietnam, to Myanmar, and Indonesia to carry goods back to Singapore. And this is Twakow. You see, before World War II, Twakow had no engine power. So we have to move around using a bamboo stick. Right? So a bamboo stick stuck into the seabed and so that you can move. Right? But today, after World War II, Twakow actually installed with engine. Probably about 100 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt, moving very slowly, 7 knots or so. So also it's an endurance craft. All right? It cannot move fast, but it endures. Okay, it's like running marathon. Okay, so and this one you can see, Twakow is actually flat bottom. Okay, it's really, really flat, therefore it cannot move fast, but it carries a lot of cargo. So, and yes, it's actually contributed to the port city ecosystem since late 19th century till 1980s, more than 100 years, okay? So the way to handle, the way Twakow contributed to this ecosystem is that from ocean-going ship, we unload cargo to Twakow, and Twakow actually carry cargo back to river warehouse like this, all right? And then we distribute or we store and re-export. So that's how that Twakow function in this the last mile. So if I look at it, I thought, hey, in today's world, we talk about Lazada, Shopee, and that kind. They are similar, right? Similar in nature. Twakow was the Lazada last time. Okay. Okay. Now, why Twakow flourished in Singapore for that 100 years? Really because of global trade. Singapore, since its established modern Singapore back in 1819, Singapore was really an open nation. It's not a nation, but an open society, and it's inclusive. We actually take in everything. So we take in culture, we take in religion, and we take in goods, right? So we are very open. But because of that, in 1903, we are already the 7th busiest port in the world. A tiny Singapore, and people always say Singapore how poor, but actually it's not poor. But what I would say is Singapore is, we have, the hierarchy is, there were 20% rich people and 80% poor people, all right? Okay, but we are not, Singapore as a whole is not poor, okay? At the time, we had deep water harbor called New Harbor at Keppel, right? So we have, but our river was quite shallow. So big ship cannot enter our river. That's why we need Twakow to trade between our domestic and the world, all right? This is an old picture in the late 19th century. This is the road, Telok Blangah Road. This is Telok Blangah Road leading to the New Harbor, right? So New Harbor, when ship came, we can see it's very busy, all right? And even in Singapore River at that time, 19th century was so busy with so many Twakow, and you can see the ox cart as well. So our Tesui is okay. Yeah. So when we talk about this Twakow, how it transport goods, right? How it unload. So it come back to this cargo ships, right? This is Clifford Pier. This is the Telok Ayer Basin. You can still remember this, right? Asia Insurance Building. Today is Escort Raffles Place. Yeah. So we can see here that, okay, from these cargo ships, we actually unload cargo into this Twakow here, all right? And to unload this cargo, we need a special trade or workers called Cao Hai Teh. Am I speak correctly? Cao Hai Teh. Okay, Cao Hai Teh, 唔是高海底 Cao Hai Teh, okay. Cao Hai Teh means 高海底 it means from the ship bottom, cargo hold. From the cargo bottom, you pick up all the goods and transport to a Twakow. Right, that's called Cao Hai Teh, okay. So we need all these special trade people. And how they work is they actually, these Cao Hai Teh workers actually use a hook to collect all these rice sack, right, and put into a net. And then we use the cargo lift to lift up the entire net and load it onto a Twakow. And the Twakow worker have to spread the cargo again, all right, onto the boat. So that's how the way it functions. It's very labor intensive actually. So if we talk about Singapore River as a river for trade, then I would say the Kallang River and the Rochor River is the river for industry. In fact, Kallang River was one of the earliest industry in Singapore, right? Do we have over there? We have sawmills, we have brick kilns, we have wooden boat builders, and among many others, all right? This was when I moved to near Rochor River. This was how the place looked like, really. Crawford HDB was built, was still in the building stage. This is Merdeka Bridge. You can see that there were so many Twakow and some of those tongkang still floating around Beach Road, right? Floating around Beach Road. And those repair shack was actually underneath that the Merdeka Bridge. All right. So that's how things work. This is Rochor River at that time. So at Rochor River, we can see some boatyards around. Okay. Yeah, and repair all carry out on the river. There was a saying: as long as the tide can reach, you can repair boats. Okay. Then come to our self-governance years, sometime in 1960s. All right. Government actually developed Kallang Industrial Park along Geylang River. So eventually we have more than 20 shipyards on Geylang River. Some were metal yards, some were boat yards. I believe some of you actually operating shipyard over there, right? Were you? Some of you maybe later you can share. All right. So from Geylang River on the northern bank, government built a road called Jalan Benang Kebau. It means shipyard road. Okay. So and on the southern bank over here, this place today we call Tanjong Ru. Yeah. So we can see there were Tongkang Place, Twakow Place, and Manchun Place. Manchun was a boat builder. All right. Sampan Place and so forth. So it's all around here. And my wife studied here, Tanjong Ru Girls School. Okay. Yeah. And what amazed me is that really, when you build a wooden boat, there were no plan. There were no so-called plan schedule, right? Today we emphasize a lot, show me your schedule. But in those days, there were no such thing called schedule, right? And no drawing. We want blueprint, but in those days, no drawing. And no specification. When you, as an owner, want to order a boat, just tell, oh, I want a boat like that. But there's actually no technical specifications. So it's so much different from today. So purely based on experience. And what we actually started off with that shipbuilding, today we have used brick cutting, right? So brick cutting to start off the shipbuilding. But in yesterday's world, it's different. It's using this something called motto. Motto is an ink markers, right? Using this motto. So the motto actually this one you pull out this string from here, all right? And this cord actually sank into an ink tank, all right? So when you pull out and you just snap. So a black knife, the ink knife will actually prop on the wood, on the timber itself. And that's how we can start the cutting process. All right. Okay. So that's how we can start the cutting process. And of course, we need the timber. Yeah. So where the timbers come from? It used to be from Sumatra. But you know, during confrontation period, that link was cut off. And after the confrontation, Indonesia said they need to protect forests. Therefore, the supply was quite limited. So our timbers supplier actually moved around to West Malaysia, to Sarawak, and some even to Myanmar and other places to bring in very key shipbuilding material, Chingao and Palau. These were top grade shipbuilding materials. All right. So how to bring in from Malaysia is through truck, right? Through truck, and from elsewhere is using a barge. All right. And all this wood were actually brought to near Kallang River or along Beach Road. For barge, they cannot enter Kallang River, so they have to go to Beach Road near Merdeka Bridge, right? And have to use a crane to drop all this log into water. Then you need some other workers called 钓柴 workers to move this timber into the river. According to the residents live in the river, for example, this person, all right? Do you know who he is? His name is Sing Han Dong. 我的学长my alumni, Sing Han Dong, Chen Han Tong, all right? One of the MP, all right? NTUC as well, yeah. So Sing Han Dong lived by the river. So he told me when this log dropped into the river, it's like a bomb. So they heard a bomb. Okay. So first time they feel quite scary, but second time is nothing. But after some time, if you don't see the bang, you think that the economy is not doing well anymore. So that's how life by the river look like. Okay. Yeah. So we talk about ship, the whole entire ship construction process. Yes, when the model Sifu draw the knife, that's how two carpenters start sawing the log. So this is called brick cutting in modern terms, all right? And then we built skeleton at the beach road, all right? So that the skeleton was built a frame, then longitudinal. So eventually it will look like that. You have the frame very closely stiffened frame and longitudinal over here, right? Then we have workers who do caulking, right? And we have workers who do painting and sealing, yeah. So that's how it evolved, how people's involved in the shipbuilding business. So in fact, we will say that, you need the entire village to build a boat. So the entire village will consist of various trades, right? From boat building to blacksmith and eventually 钓柴 and sawmill workers and coolie and lightermen. So you need a whole trade to build a boat and to move a boat, to move a Twakow. When Twakow disappear, it also means that many of these actually disappear. 钓柴 disappear. Blacksmith, we used to have blacksmith shops at Southern Gate, 打铁街 Southern Gate at Kampong Glam. But today, all this already disappear. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So from this Twakow disappeared, not because the craftsmanship is no good, not because it cannot last, but because of containerization. In 1972, our government was very bold to build the first container harbor, right? So for that, it actually changed the entire domestic trades, right? It scaled our port city to a new height. Today, we have PSA container terminal. Tomorrow, we have Tuas Megaport. So this is a Tuas Megaport. Artist impression, Tuas Megaport in not too far away, perhaps 14, 15 years time. 2040. Yeah, 2040. So in 14, 15 years time, you will see a Tuas Megaport. Yeah. So that is how we see things move. One Twakow carry 100 tons. But today, one VLCS, very large cargo ship, carry 20,000 tons. 20,000 TEU. So the scale is totally different. If today we still rely on Twakow to carry trades, I think most of us were poor, all right? We probably will not be sitting here anymore, okay? Yeah, so that's how things work. And yeah, so for the container port to exist, and it also means that the river had to call it a day, right? So we started off the river cleaning campaign 10 years to clear up all the rivers and clear up all those residences next to the river, including my house, all right, all disappeared. So some of the Twakow moved to Pasir Panjang. So I feel quite passionate at that time. So when I bought my first Yashica camera, I went to Pasir Panjang to take the Twakow. Okay, yeah. And Kallang River had changed, Singapore River had changed, of course, yeah. And our river had changed as well. You know, our river, last time, when we talk about Singapore River, probably people will say the river was black, right? The river was black and smelly. But as a child grew up there, I would say the river is not always black, it was not always smelly, all right? When there was a heavy rain, the river actually turned brown. And the river flow rapidly into the sea, all right? So the brown is something like the sea, you know? and when during high tide, the river was actually green color, like green tea, like Japanese green tea, it's green. So that was the time that we hopped into the river to swim in the river. Yeah, so it's green. So, but you swim in the river, what we learn is about survival. It's not about speed. You ask me to swim to compete, I cannot. But stay in the water to survive, to tread water, I can. All right, yeah. Okay, so how to call the end of the era for this Twakow and Tongkang, all these wooden boats. Because of lots of, they are no longer useful in the world, in Singapore. So many of them actually sank off Twakow Island, about 8 kilometers from here. All right, it's actually sank there. And for those that did not sink, but then we will actually burn them. We actually burned them at Twakow Island. So that was the very first landfill of Twakow at that time, back in the late 70s and 1980s. All right. So that's how things like. Okay. Yeah. But so yes, today we have a few surviving Twakow still around, and one of them is just outside the window. Right. Thanks to Yoko Chin Literary Service, later we have a chance to step onto this Twakow. Okay. They operate this Twakow between Penjuru, Lighter Terminal and Marina South over here. Okay. Yes. So earlier this year, with Mr. Kwek help, I also invited our book builder, Mr. Zhang Wenjing. Okay. Yeah. So to step up onto this Twakow. All right. But when I step into this Twakow again, 50, 60 years, much later, 50, 60 years later, of course the feeling is different. Last time I was a child, but today I was a trained naval architect, so we see both quite differently. But nevertheless, step back onto this Twakow, brought back many special memories, of course. And the book builder taught me his secret, how to use his secret weapon. He carried a hammer. He pulled out from his tool bag, carried a hammer, and to knock on the wood, knock on the timber, and tell me, okay, this is Chingao, or this is Palau, or this is Malaki. So that's the special trait, special skill that with the person. Okay, yeah. Okay, so okay, to summarize what we talked about, we moved from Sampan, Tongkang, Twakow to eventually Tuas Megaport. But our Twakow became obsolete not because of workmanship, not because they are old, but because of they are not. The time has changed, right? But the mission of transporting goods, bringing goods from the ocean to people, had never changed. That mission had never changed. All right. Technology changed, yes. So to understand this whole Singapore story, I thought that's how we can learn about, we can build heritage into how the landscape advanced, how Singapore works, how technology has changed, how people behind the development to bring a better Singapore today. Yes. Last word. The Twakow reminded us how Singapore became Singapore. The boats may disappear, but the story should not. Thank you.